Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. Now if you guys watch the very first video of this channel, you know that if you see me, it only means one thing. If you only see me and me alone, it only means one thing. It is romance time. Yes, you guys, it's romance time. So yeah, let's get right into it. So you guys, I'm very excited about this video because I read, wait for it, my very first interracial romance. So yes, it's a big deal for me because normally I try to stay away from interracial romance because like I always hear the same thing about them. Usually, you know, the female main character is an African American, and then she's a secretary, or she's not as rich or as successful, and then here she goes falling in love with the main character who's usually rich, the CEO, and blah blah blah. It's always the same thing. So I'm just kind of like I'm always just like, okay, well, I don't want to read that if that's what it's about. But so I was scrolling through Instagram, and I saw this book that they were advertising, and I was just kind of like, oh my god. I'm like, well, this is. I'm like, I should based on the cover. I was just like, I should check this out, and I did, and you guys, I have to say that I'm glad I did. Like I really enjoy it. It was a great read. I enjoy it. So well, first the main character, who is Ruth, the female main character Ruth, and the lead male main character Evan. Evan is not a CEO. He's not rich. He is just this guy. He's a hardworking guy. He's ex-military, and then you have Ruth. You guys, she's not a secretary. She's not some math genius or whatever who just happened to, you know, be falling at Evan's feet or whatever. She's a comic fanatic. She runs a web comic. And Ruth is autistic, you guys. So it was just kind of like, it was very different to kind of like, and it was also my first time reading about a character that has autism. So it was cool. It was different. Now, to get into the story, so the backstory of the book. So Ruth was dating Daniel. Now Daniel is his family. Him and his family are like the it family of the town that they're in, Ravenswood. He's a bully, you know, we all know a bully. And he dated Ruth for like 7 years, you guys, 7 years. And the whole time he belittled her. And of course, no one in the town knew that they were dating for 7 years because, you know, Daniel father always claimed that Ruth is not good enough for him or whatever. And then Ruth, of course, stayed in a 7-year relationship with a man that was abusive. Not abusive in the sense of like, you know, physical abuse, but definitely like emotional abuse. He was definitely abusive. So, but yeah, and Ruth was dealing with all that. And the last straw for her was when Daniel basically, can you imagine dating someone for 7 years, you guys? And then out of nowhere, he's telling you that, okay, well, today I'm not coming home or whatever. I have an engagement party. You would have been like, what? Excuse me, we've been together for 7 years and now you have an engagement party. That's just crazy to me. But yeah, that's what Ruth was dealing with. Like Daniel, basically, that's how their relationship ended. 7 year relationship, almost a decade. He's just kind of like, yeah, you know, my engagement party or whatever. And it's just kind of like, wow. And Ruth, the way Ruth dealt with that is basically she was already the pariah of the town, but she just kind of like became more to herself. She doesn't go out much. She doesn't do anything. She's just like, she sleeps all day in her pajamas or whatever. She spends all day in her 4 o'clock. She's still in her pajamas. And that was just basically Ruth's life. And then enter Evan. Evan was just like, I'm smiling, you guys, because he was just, the characters were different. Evan was very different. He was sweet. He wasn't all, you know, the type that, you know, their chemistry wasn't like, it was authentic. It wasn't the kind of stuff that you would read and it was just kind of like they were forcing these characters together. It wasn't that at all. You know, he really wanted to meet his next door neighbor, and he baked a pie. He loves to cook. you know, and he baked a pie and brought it over, and here comes Ruth, who's, you know, sassy and very mouthy, even though, like, you know, she's shy and kind of like reserved into herself, but at the same time she's very sassy and can be very outspoken. And here comes Evan, and she just kind of like, who the hell are you? Why are you my friend? Well, she didn't say that, but just kind of like her demeanor about it. But, you know, he kept going. He kept, like, you know, he found out she didn't have an oven inside her apartment because Ruth can't cook. And, you know, like I was saying, she's a comic fanatic, and like her apartment is just full of like stuff, you know, and she almost set the apartment on fire or whatever. So she didn't have an oven. And Evan just, that's how her and Evan like connected or whatever, because he would just like cook for her all the time, even though she would be like, oh, she doesn't want it, but she definitely enjoyed his cooking. And in exchange, she would like let him hold one of her comics book or whatever, like until she finished whatever dish she cooked, and then she'll get it back. And then that was the exchange, so she doesn't feel like, oh, she's just taking stuff from him. It was very sweet to see, you guys. And even though Ruth went through all of that, you guys, she was very like, she owned up, like she was just a woman. Like she owned up, she owned her sexuality. Even with what happened with Daniel, she still kind of like, you know, slept with other men and stuff like that. So it was great. And then you know, I have to tell you guys, like the sex between Ruth and Evan, it was oh my god, I feel like a schoolgirl that's about to blush, that's like blushing or whatever. It wasn't like pornography, like reading pornography, like stuff that you're just kind of like, whoa, okay. I thought it was just kind of like, there was something beautiful about it, like definitely like between them. Evan being Evan, the sweet guy that he is, like in the book, like the author definitely made it a thing to, you know, consent was always the thing. Even the very first time he wanted to kiss her, like he asked, it wasn't just kind of like, I know some people find it like, you know, sexy when a man take control instead, you know, of just kind of like, instead of, you know, just kind of like, don't ask to kiss me, just kiss me or whatever. It definitely wasn't that. Like Evan understood that, you know, Ruth was very delicate and stuff like that, so he took his time with her. You know, he asked, can I kiss you? And then there are times in the her apartment, he would be there and they'll be hanging out, and if she's not feeling up to it anymore, and she's just kind of like, okay, you need to go home. He doesn't argue, he's just kind of like, okay, I'm going home. But yes, you guys, the sex between Ruth and Evan was just kind of like, oh my, Ruth, like, oh my goodness. But I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful. It wasn't like, it wasn't degrading or kind of like runchy. I don't know if that's even a word, but it wasn't that at all. I really thought, it was sexy and passionate, and Ruth was just definitely, you know, a woman that, you know, understood what she liked and what she wanted, and it was just everything, you guys. So yes, I definitely, it was great. On to side characters. Ruth's sister Hannah was a great side character. Her reaction to what Daniel did to her sister was just like one that you would expect, like, you know, your sister, your cousin, or anyone to have if a man did something like that to you. But she definitely suffered the aftermath of that. Like she kind of like basically ruined her own life with getting a record and everything like that, and she wanted to work with children, and she couldn't really do that anymore because of that, you know, getting a felony or whatever. Like, you know, it was very sad. It touched at your heart. It was honestly, you guys, it was a great read. I enjoyed it. It was my first read by this author, but I definitely enjoyed it. The only thing I would probably say about it though is just kind of like, I would have liked to see Evan's story touched up on a little bit more. We know that his mother died of cancer, and he definitely had his own emotional baggage that he was carrying with him, but that was, I felt like, to me, that was kind of like swept under the rug, and just more, it was more focused on Ruth. And Ruth was an amazing character to read about, but I feel like if you read the story, you would definitely fall in love with Evan's character as well, and you would be like, oh my god, like he's, you know, this guy is just so sweet. You would want to learn more about him. So I would say, like, I would have liked to learn more about Evan. Also, Daniel, Ruth X, who is the piece of, you know what? I'm not gonna cuss in here because I don't know who would be, if I have any minors that would be watching this, but he was a piece of you know what. Anyways, in the end, after all that bullying, Ruth finally found, you know, that strength within herself with the help of Evan, of course, and she basically stood up to Daniel, and all Daniel was just like, oh, it was just almost, you just got, oh, she finally stood up to him or whatever, and he just kind of like left her alone. I feel like I would have liked to see a little bit. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was just kind of like more. I don't know, like I expected it to be different. I felt like it was a little too easy. He got like the easy way out. I thought like more should have happened to him, but that's definitely the only thing I could probably not complain, but like say. But besides that, it was I enjoyed the novel. It touched on mental health, abuse, and, you know, finding your own voice and within yourself to kind of like stand up for yourself. The characters were very relatable. Ruth, you know, was just like a normal woman. She wasn't all, you know, she was sexy and all the guys wanted her and blah blah blah. She definitely was not that. She was just Ruth. Like, I feel like I could be Ruth, you know, like it was great. And then Evan was just a normal, you know, sweet guy, and it just worked, you guys. It was just like everything about it, the town, the story, everything about it just kind of like worked well together. And I would say I definitely enjoyed this novel. So to me, I would have to say it was a 9. If I had to rate it a 9 out of 10. If I had to give it a rated from up to a 5-star, it would probably definitely be a strong 4.5. And the only thing it's not the 5 is because, like, you know, I'm just being a little picky, was the little story that I would have to see more of Evan and more of what happened to Daniel, because I felt like that was just a little too easy on him. I would have liked more. But besides that, it was great, you guys, and I would definitely be reading more about this this author. I don't even know if I said the book name, you guys. It is A Girl Like Her by Taila Hibbert. It was great, you guys. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. And if you guys have any books like you would like to recommend, don't comment it below, or like the email will be below. The email for this account will be below. I'm sorry. And you could definitely email me if you're a writer, you just publish your work or whatever, and you would like a review. You could do that as well. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time with another video. And if you see me, you definitely know what time it is. It's romance time. All right, guys.